Hello there. Let me ask you some questions today. Do you ever create a lot of fuss about things that are really not worth it? Have you ever been playing roles that are damaging to you and others? How do you get involved in dramas? What are the mechanisms that trap us in it? How does it work? I would like to start by explaining how the pernicious triangle of victim, perpetrator, and savior works. It all begins when something appears to be going wrong in your life and you believe yourself to be a victim. Then you will choose to believe that someone else is doing this to you. Someone else is the perpetrator who is responsible for all your misery. And as you are powerless and you feel a victim, you must therefore find someone to help you out of this situation, someone responsible for rescuing you and improving everything all of a sudden. So the three key relationships are set up. Victim, perpetrator, and rescuer always go together. When there is one, the other two are also there. Victims often feel victimized, trapped, helpless, and hopeless. They think they are at the mercy of life, of an unfair life. They are unwilling to take responsibility for their undesirable circumstances and don't think they have the power to change their lives. Victims assume themselves as powerless or incompetent and blame the perpetrators. It can be other people or a particular situation. They always seek for rescuers to solve the problem for them. But let's look at the three roles thoroughly. We will see that they are just victims, all of them. And I challenge you to go and find any number of perpetrators. Look at their stories properly. You will find that they came to act as perpetrators because they believed themselves to be victims. As a result of their own belief in their own victimhood, they acted out as they did. The worst criminal offenders in jail have the worst childhood circumstances. They are all internally traumatized. If their minds were healed and their hearts were healed and loved, they will not be expressing rage at the world. Simply witness what happens when one such perpetrator finds healing, self-love, compassion, and acceptance. He transforms. He becomes an agent for good. So clearly, his perpetrator nature is tied up with his own sense of being a victim. Perpetrators appear in different forms, of course. They are controlling, blaming, critical, oppressive, angry, authoritarian, rigid, and mostly superior. They can be critical parents, for example, stern and judgmental. They tend to think that they must win at any cost. Perpetrators blame the victims and criticize the behavior of rescuers without providing appropriate guidance or assistance or a solution to the problem. They are critical. They tend to be good at finding fault and controlling with order and rigidity. They keep the victim oppressed and sometimes they can even be a bully. So what about the rescuers? This is also a victim. But it's often the last step before someone releases themselves from victimhood. It is a way to still engage with the victim-perpetrator game while not actively being either. So you see, before you can leave the victim-perpetrator behind, you will need to heal yourself of this suffering and trauma that you feel was inflicted upon you while you were in that dynamic or situation. You can also do so by trying to help others in similar circumstances. You can turn your own suffering around and make it something useful out of it. You can overcome the whole trauma by being a beacon of love. For example, a rape victim might establish a counseling and advocacy group. You often find that people who originate such initiatives were victims who stood up and took back their power. Sometimes even perpetrators who decided to make amends. People who want to be done with the victim-perpetrator often go through a cycle of rescuers before they leave the dynamic behind. Sure, there are other reasons for rescuers too. Sometimes the rescuer simply wishes to feel noble, or they wish to earn self-love through doing good deeds. This often results in an interfering rescuer who the victim doesn't appreciate. Another case would be a reformed perpetrator. For example, a husband who for years committed spousal abuse might start a men's group in which these men support each other in dealing with their issues of rage and disempowerment. There are many versions of this. The thing is, the relationship between the victim and the rescuer may be one of codependency as well. The rescuer keeps the victim dependent by encouraging their victimhood. And the victim meets their needs by having this rescuer care for them. Rescuers constantly intervene on behalf of the victims and try to save victims from what is perceived harm. They feel guilty about standing and watching people drown. I think rescuers may have all the good intentions and they do strive to help others as necessary. What they often fail to realize is that by offering short-term fixes, they keep victims dependent and neglect their own needs. Rescuers often find themselves pressured and tired and may not even have time to finish their own tasks and projects, as they are always busy firefighting for victims as they arise. So how can we escape the drama triangle constructively? The first step to escape this triangle is to understand what it entails. Be aware of your role in a particular circumstance. Be watchful not to take any one of these three roles. You can ask yourself a few powerful questions to be able to improve your self-awareness. Those questions can be: what role are you playing in the drama triangle? How long have you been playing that role? Is it serving you? Is this role where you would like to be? If not, what can you do to change it? What are the actions you need to take to escape it? By becoming self-aware of your role in the drama triangle, you will become mindful and avoid taking any role in it. You will not be the passive victim who depends on others to provide solutions, or the rescuer who jumps into other people's issues uninvited, or the perpetrator who criticizes others without helping tackle the underlying problem. You can choose your behavior without playing roles automatically and out of habit. You can create your own responses to life circumstances and understand that everybody can make theirs as well. At the end of the day, victims, perpetrators, and rescuers are all still in a state of believing that they are ultimately victims. When you understand that you are a creator, then you know that everyone is a creator as well. And you can perceive that all is perfect, that there is nothing and no one that needs to be fixed. And then you're free from any role.